but then you better follow it through with Gladiator. Great. Welcome back to the channel. All right, it's time for the state of the game. We've got a lot going on, and every once in a while I do enjoy making these videos. And for those of you who are new to my channel, a couple things. One, there's going to be timestamps. We're going to go over a variety of topics. And if one doesn't interest you, you can jump to another one. Two, leave your feedback in the comments. I do submit these to Kabam via the CCP. I'm under the impression they do watch them. When I've done these before, and this is part of why I don't do these very often, is when I've done them before, I am under the impression, I've been led to believe that they are watched. It doesn't mean action was always taken. It doesn't mean they will always agree with me, but at least they are watching and listening to the feedback. Your comments are part of that. It would be smart of Kabam, and I do believe there are at least a few very smart people there who will go and read that, because they do want a player base who is engaged and playing their game. Remember, that is how Kabam makes their money, by making this game that we hopefully enjoy and continue to play. So you are part of the process. You are part of the solution. Please go to the comments. As I always say, if you're feeling angry, take a few breaths, try to dial it down just a little bit of anger is fine. A little bit. You're going to hear some of that from me probably today. Is fine, but let's not come in angry and yelling and accusatory. All right. Now let's go ahead and move on to this. The first one we're going to talk about is this Alliance War offer. If you followed my community page, you know that within hours of this going live, I did a community post saying that this felt coercive to me. I didn't have time to make a video, and it's probably good because I was pretty upset at that time. Now I want to explain a couple of things, because I know a variety of people who comment on that, people I've talked to in various chats, have said it's just simple supply and demand, Vega. Get over it. And I just could not disagree more. I understand why some people feel that way. And yes, on some very basic level, this is supply and demand. But why step up? Why do I step it up to me saying this feels coercive? And even if it does, why is that bad? Well, ultimately it's bad because if your player base, if your customers are feeling coerced into something as opposed to they are choosing to do something, they're a lot less likely to continue to do it, or they will at least resent you, or they will feel less trusting. And then when you have your big sales, they're a lot less concerned, because why would a reasonable person go and spend their time, energy, or money on something if they have previously been led to believe or feel like they have been coerced into it? No reasonable person would do that. So you're either relying on people being unreasonable, which is a totally different video, or this is something that you want to avoid. Now, why? Like how, right? Do I not understand supply and demand? Yes, I fully understand supply and demand. But when that is the only element, and that is the driving force with which how you do things, if that is your pure business model and you exasperate it, you take it to its limits, which is what I think this is, you end up with people feeling coerced. Now, let me explain, and I explain well through analogy. But let's say you enjoy being out on the ocean. You're on vacation, you enjoy being on the ocean, you don't have your boat. So you rent a boat and you find a fun boat driver that you enjoy, you trust, you want to go see the same places. They have experience taking you to those places, right? You could choose any boat, just like we could choose any game, but you've chosen this boat and you go out on the boat and you're having a lot of fun, just like we've chosen this game and we are enjoying it and having a lot of fun. Keep in mind, I've been playing for 9 years. I've been playing in Tier 1 since War Seasons came along. I've been told that this offer has been available monthly, and to the best of my recollection, I have never bought it. I've never needed to. I use loyalty. I spend my time, energy, and money collecting champions and buying boosts and things like that so I can do war, but I don't believe I've ever bought this before. Which lets you know how important this offer is. As in, not very. So now you're out on this boat and you're having a good time, and then all of a sudden the boat captain's you're like, hey, I'm getting a little thirsty, and the boat captain's like, oh, we have water. And you're like, oh, great. And they're like, it's $8. And you're like, seems like a bit pricey, but I'm really thirsty, so that's fine. I've been having a great time. You've been doing a good job. You've been showing me around. I've been having a lot of fun. Much like this game. This game's pretty expensive, time or money. But we're having a lot of fun with it, and they've been doing a really good job. It's deep, it's rich, it's complex. There's a lot of layers to it. So we're like, yeah, that's fine. I'm enjoying this. This is worth my disposable income or my disposable time. And then the boat driver's like, well, hey, listen, I know this really cool area where there's some stingrays and there's sometimes even some sharks. You want to go see that? It'd be really cool. I don't really take everyone there, but we can do it. You're like, absolutely. I've been out here with you for 3 to 4 hours. It's been nothing but great. Let's go. Let's do this. And so you get to that area and you're kind of looking over the side, and the next thing you know, boom, something bumps into you, and you are now in the water. Now, demand has been created. Demand. You desperately want out of that water, right? It's dangerous. The demand has been created. And there's two avenues of supply here. You could swim down to the end of the boat, get on what appears to be like a rickety wooden. Now, you might not even make it to the end. You don't know because you've been told there's sharks there in the water. And even if you do make it to the ladder, you might not even get out. You could go to the rickety ladder, which, in this analogy, is these size potions that, no, not those. These size potions that you can buy with loyalty. Now, when you're healing up a champion that has 100,000 life, you really can't use too many of these, can you? Before you start to really risk iteming out. So there's a risk to swimming down to the ladder, just like there's a risk to using these. And as you can see, you can only carry 25 of them at a time, and there's an escalating cost to buy them, and loyalty is limited. At the start of the season, I had over 800,000. You can see I now have down to 517. But the demand has been created. We all agree there's a strong urge for you to get out of the water. And the boat driver comes over and says like, oh man, you're in the water. And you're like, yeah, you pushed me. You pushed me in the water. And the boat driver's like, I bumped you. I bumped you. And you're like, I don't have time to argue whether you did this intentionally or not. Just like, I don't really care if Kabam did this intentionally or not. They create the game. They create the mode. They should, if they didn't know the tactic was this hard, then there's bigger problems. So I'm going to assume that they did know that the tactic was this hard, and therefore people would desperately need potions and items and be willing to spend loyalty and units on them. And so then the boat driver is like, well, I could throw you this rope, or you could swim down to the end of the boat. And you're like, well, why would I swim to the end of the boat? Throw me the rope. And now there's some people out there that would be really, they would thank the boat driver, you are a hero for throwing me this rope. Well, guess what? I'm not one of those people, and I don't think you should be either. Because the boat driver is the reason you're in the water to begin with. They're not the hero. They created the scenario. They created the demand. And now they are coercing you to get the supply. And it's limited supply. It's one thing for a few extra bucks for some water because you're thirsty and you forgot to bring some. It's a whole other thing when someone is trying to present something that's like, let's go have a lot of fun together. They then knowingly create the problem, and then they try to act like it's cool that they're the savior while making a bunch of money off of it. That's where simple, basic supply and demand becomes alienating to the customers. And a business that pushes that too far risks losing their customers. They're either betting on the fact or the idea that their customers won't leave. They're too involved, or some people would say addicted, to leave the mode or the game or the business. Or they're so concerned with that one little transaction that they're completely willing to alienate their customers and their player base. We all have different thresholds. This is mine. And in this scenario, I would really encourage you to think similarly. If you're ever in a scenario where someone is selling you something, but they're the ones who created the need, and they did it knowingly or negligently, meaning that they should have known, you should not interact with them anymore. Go somewhere else. In my opinion, we should get a compensation package for this. No one should be spending their units. Moving on, the AI, fix it. It's as simple as that. Yes, I know people are working on it, and I believe it's really, really good people. But to not bring it up in a video like this, I think would be negligent. So I'm going to work on the AI. Now, why am I on Danny Moonstar for the AI? Because it's a nice way to move right into the Rebalance team. It appears as though Danny Moonstar will get a 2-sentence rebalance. That is it. Anyone who's played her extensively and has tried to use her in difficult fights knows that she falls apart very, very quickly. Now, I am open to the idea that maybe I will learn how to use her better, and I've got her. Rank 3 is a 7-star. And so I'm going to do everything I can until I either just get so frustrated I give up, or I discover new and better ways to continue to play her to take her in more complex fights. She's a champion that came out in 2023. So she's being judged by her peers. 2023 was a phenomenal year for champions. The design team did an amazing job. Dani would be incredibly powerful in 2018, but she didn't come out in 2018. She came out in 2023. She has abilities that are, I don't want to say outrageously, but they are incredibly powerful. When we hear the designers and employees talk about a design budget, I do believe that she has a very large design budget when you think about the powers, the abilities that are in her kit. The problem is how they fit together and how quickly they fall apart in complex fights. Now, what does this have to do with rebalance? She's getting a 2-sentence rebalance. That is it. Now, if that's what the rebalance team is going to do, and they're going to be like, well, we're really just looking to rebalance, we're not here to completely redesign champions, that's fine. Not every champion needs to be future Ant-Man, right? I just did the top 10 for all kinds of things, but the best champions of 2023. Not every champion needs to be that good. That's fine. I get that. There's different modes and there's different things, and it's fine. Not every champion can be that. That's okay. And if that's what Rebalance is telling us, is like, look, we're here to rebalance a champion. If they're just missing marks, we will tune them up with some numbers. And if they're going too far, we'll tune them down with some numbers. But we're not here to start moving abilities around, creating new abilities and all that stuff. One, I mean, I look at like Shocker and I'm like, I don't know if that's accurate. And two, if that is, even if that's like, no, we're starting with Dani Moonstar, fine. But then you better follow it through with Gladiator. And I know a lot of you are like, no, we want Gladiator to be good. And I trust me, I feel for you because I wanted Dani to be improved significantly. Like she really could have been with some massaging of a few abilities and things. And so I would feel badly for you. But if Dani's where it starts, it needs to be consistent, because here's why. If all of a sudden Gladiator gets a huge tune-up and abilities are turned around and all kinds of numbers adjusted and that sort of thing, what happens the next time a champion comes out flat? Do we get Dani, the Dani treatment, or do we get the Gladiator treatment? I think consistency would be really helpful to the player base, and I'm advising the Rebalance team to be consistent in this. Because if you're not, what you're doing is you're setting up the community to be incredibly deflated one way or another, and no one will have any idea if they're going to be excited or deflated. Something to be able to rely on would be significantly better. Not all champions are going to be hits. Long form content. We've had Necropolis come out this year, and it was fantastic. Unfortunately, I've had to back out of it 4 times thanks to War Season. What a great season. But I've done 2 paths. I've done like half of a third, or like a third of a third path. I've watched the streams. I've done, I really am enjoying it. I think it's phenomenal. The Grandmaster can feel cheap at times, but even that one, I can feel myself getting better at it. I can tell I've gotten better. So I think that's really well done. And here's what I'm going to suggest is I know, or I believe it would not be possible with Kabam with their current team due to size limitations, not the talent. The talent's obviously there to do Necropolis every year. And even that, I think that wouldn't be good, because I think the player base, I think there's a ton of people who don't even see Necropolis on their horizon, and hopefully in 6 to 8 months they do. But what I would say is, the Eternity of Pain, the Summer of Pain, the Grandmaster's Gauntlet, they've all been phenomenal. And if that's something that could be put on a 12-year cycle, meaning we get either Grandmaster's Gauntlet, Eternity of Pain, or Necropolis, or something like them in their vein every 12 months, once a year, like maybe in the summer or the fall, that would be fantastic. Not only would it be a lot of fun, but I think it'd be incredibly helpful to the design team and the game overall. Right now, you either make a champion for Battlegrounds or War. If they're good in one of those two, cool. And then, story content, I think, was very intentionally made more simple, let's put it. You got to go back years, guys, and there was a lot of complaints about story content being way too niche. And they've opened that up, and I think even that's been really good. So there's these champions like Wong. Wong is like the ideal example, and I can see them there. And even Guillotine 2099 where they really are getting a chance to open up and shine in Necropolis. Now, some people rank them up and be like, no, they were always good, and they were, but you weren't really probably using them outside of some unique niche scenarios in Battlegrounds or War. But if we have longer form content coming out, not only will those champions be ranked up and used, but now every champion doesn't need to be good in Battlegrounds or good in War. They can just be good. Or maybe they're good in longer form content. I think it's really healthy for the game, one from a fun standpoint for the players. And I would imagine, I don't know, I haven't interviewed any designers on this, but I would think it would also give a design space where the designers can go and make champions for it, because the content's going to consistently come out. Stores. I think this one's very, very simple. I would love to see the stores updated on a significantly more regular pattern and more frequently. I would love to see stores updated before the sales, not before every single sale. I think that's probably a little too much, but I would love to see sales catch up to the stores instead of the stores catch up to the sales. People love the idea of earning something in the game. I think it's made them more tolerable of sales. In fact, recently we even have people upset that Banquet wasn't good enough. I can't believe I'm actually hearing that from the community, who's typically, you know, on the edge because the sales were too good. And then this one is that the sales weren't good enough. And I'll address that when I get to the Banquet portion. But I would love to see the stores updated more frequently, because one, it'd be really nice. People would enjoy it. And it would be a nice way to push resources through the game and allow people to rank up via playing. People seem to really enjoy that. I enjoy it too. But it would also take the pain away from modes. Icky sucks. And if the rewards were better, it would dull the pain significantly. I would like to see this change. I don't know how and if it's possible. And I think if it was a decision that was made, I think it would probably be a slow titration off of it, because you couldn't just do it overnight. But I would love to see sales catch up to the games. And I could be wrong, but as someone who frequently participates in sales, I would still participate in the sales. I don't do the sales to get ahead of the stores. It's just, that's how it's worked out. I do the sales because I like to make my team more powerful and get somewhere faster than I otherwise would. And I think a lot of the other players are similar. And then the Banquet crystals are gone. So, just pretend they're there for this part. And this one's going to be short anyways too. I'm aware there's been a lot of grief given, a lot of community upheaval on Banquet rewards. And a lot of that is feelings. So in no way I'm going to tell you your feelings are wrong. Okay? Because you're not telling me 2 + 2 = 8. You're not, right? You're not telling me 2 + 2 = 8. You're saying that you felt like it wasn't strong enough. You felt this, you felt that. And that's fine. I can't tell you your feelings are wrong, because you're not telling me your feelings are based on a fact. You're saying this is just how I feel about the sale. But what I will point out is think about how you feel, you the individual, when sales are super strong. Like, go back to July 4th. So many people felt like that was too strong, right? And the game would never recover. Now, fortunately, we're still here. But that doesn't mean that July 4th wasn't too strong. And I feel like Kabam has really worked their way down from that. I personally feel like they did a phenomenal job. I thought the 7-star Guardian champions were fantastic. I will get my opening out, but I wanted to get this video out first. You're going to see that I immediately took 2 of them to rank 2. I have a pretty mature account. And those just came in the milestones. I liked the event. I thought it was good. It allowed people who wanted to go hard the chance to spend a significant sum of money and be very richly rewarded for it. In fact, I will leave a link to Yusafa's channel, because I think he does deserve to be shouted out for it. It is entertaining. And check it out. You can see what someone who was really willing to go deep on this, what they were able to accumulate. And it is a ton of rewards. But it also allowed people who didn't want to spend a bunch, like myself, to have a really good time, to advance my account a little bit, and spend some units. I understand that there's a wide gap between myself and Yusafa, so there's a lot of players that may feel differently. I understand there's a lot of players who don't have accounts as mature as mine, and maybe you feel differently too. But I look at the crystals and I look at the rewards from those crystals, and I feel like they were even better for progressing accounts. So I don't know. I don't feel like every sale needs to be for me, and therefore, as well, I don't think every sale needs to be for everyone. And I don't think that makes them bad when they aren't for me. It just means they weren't for me. And personally, I actually thought the sale was great because it allowed people who wanted to go deep to go incredibly deep and be richly rewarded for it. And then it allowed the rest of us who just kind of wanted to play the game and open a few crystals to get some pretty cool stuff from it, especially when that pretty cool stuff was, in my opinion, very powerful 7-star champions. I don't know if he's necessarily in charge of it or not. I'm not really sure, of course. I don't actually work at Kabam, so I don't know the inner workings. I'm not in the meetings, but there's a guy named Crash. He's sometimes on the streams, on the Kabam streams. And when he's on, good information gets put out. It's fun. He's funny. He makes jokes. But it's also serious and real, and he treats the players with respect. I will put a link to his forum post that's from today, the day I'm recording it. I will put a link to that in the description. I encourage you to go and read it. And I know some of you will read it and be like, what the heck is this? That's what an adult who respects the reader of what they're writing sounds like. They're being honest. They're being transparent. They're telling us things they don't need to tell us. That's what it sounds like. It's not what we're used to from social media and from forums and line chats and Discord. But I'm telling you, that's what it is. I really like this dude. I don't think he does everything perfectly. He doesn't think I do everything perfectly, and that's okay. In fact, that's good. If everyone surrounding you is always telling you how great you are and they're too scared to disagree with you, you need to go find some new people. Check it out. Read it. Let me know what you think. Put your feedback in the comment section on all of this. You might feel strongly about one section, one topic, and not on another. Again, you can tell me I'm wrong. That's fine. I don't care. Don't insult me, but you can tell me I'm wrong. That's okay. That's how we learn. Kabam, I hope you're listening. You have a great game here. You've been going in the right directions. I think there's been some really bad steps and the wrong ones of late, but they can be minor and they can be easily fixed. You've earned my trust. You've earned the benefit of the doubt from me over the last 3 years. I'm going to continue playing. I'm excited about playing, but let's take care of this stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Don't throw any more ropes, Kabam. Take care.